It's time to talk about Black Ops 5 Zombies. So we're only a couple weeks away from a possible reveal for the next Call of Duty game, and I wanted to talk about my thoughts for the next zombie installment. Now granted, as of this recording, we don't know anything about the next Call of Duty. Hell, we don't even know the name. We don't even know if it's gonna have zombies in it. But what we know is that Treyarch has been put in charge of the project a couple months ago, and that means there's a lot to talk about. First, let's talk about Jason Blundell leaving Treyarch a couple weeks ago. As sad as I am to see him go, I believe that it's kind of a good thing for zombies, and let me explain. Yes, Jason has directed incredible maps like Mob of the Dead, Origins, Shadows of Evil, etc. There's masterpieces he's done. But let's keep in mind that he's also the one who was in charge of maps like Dead of the Night, Voyage of Despair, and all the Black Ops 4 ones. For as much good that he did for the zombies community, he also turned the game mode into being more focused around the storyline and Easter eggs. Completing the main quest is now the main focus of zombies instead of trying to survive for how many waves as you can. And while I don't really mind the couple maps that are storyline heavy or Easter egg heavy, I do think there needs to be a balance in between. We also learned that Lee Ross also left Treyarch, which is kind of surprising since most of the community thought that he was now being put in charge for the zombie mode. Lee Ross was the mind behind Infinite Warfare's zombie mode, which wasn't bad by any means from what I've played. A lot of people had hoped that he would be the one reviving the community by directing the next zombie installment, since he had done a great job in the past. But now people are worried. Who is in charge of zombies right now? Well, what matters the most is not who's in charge, but rather how much. How much budget, how much resources, how much employees are working on the mode. I bring this up because let's roll back to Black Ops 4 for a second. As much as you may hate Black Ops 4, you have to appreciate what the devs were able to create with the time, budget, and resources they had. Crunch is a very real thing in the video game industry, especially for a huge franchise like Call of Duty with fixed release dates for every DLC. The fact that the small team who worked on zombies was able to not only make the maps, but even sneak in a gauntlet mode in between, fixing all the bugs and all the other pile of work they had already, is just beyond dedication. You cannot deny how passionate the zombie team was for Black Ops 4, and I'm willing to bet the devs are just as devastated as the fans to see how Black Ops 4 turned out to be. Remember back in December 2018 when a Treyarch QA tester who had recently left the studio leaked a bunch of information regarding zombies? This guy had confirmed that Alpha Omega was being in QA testing during that time period, or at least a Nuketown zombie map, which means most DLC maps for Black Ops 4 were already completed or, close to. Probably would have been finished in like March. It's no big secret that Black Ops 4's last few maps had a significant drop in budget and resources given the poor reception of the game, and the player base being pretty much dead at that point. It made no sense for Activision to put more money into the game than they needed to if it wasn't gonna pay back in the end. So where did all that money go? Why did they cut so many corners? Here's what I think. With Black Ops 4's poor reception, most fans got frustrated and turned against Treyarch. Content creators who had been in good relation with Activision and Treyarch for years started making videos hating on the game and its mechanics. Now, disappointment was so big that it scarred the Black Ops franchise and Call of Duty as a whole forever. Treyarch no longer represents the studio that makes good zombies. It has lost its identity and credibility, and they know that. Changes need to be made if they want to win the fans back. A lot of fans felt betrayed with Black Ops 4. Now it's time for Treyarch and Activision to make things right with their next game. Which is why I believe Treyarch will have the most budget, resources, and employees as they've ever had before. Activision will give them whatever they need to make their name look good again. And this gives me hope for zombies, knowing the fact that Treyarch needs to make a comeback with this game, otherwise zombies might be over. This is their last stand. Their last chance to make it right, and Activision is fully aware of that. Just look at the new Modern Warfare for example. Huge changes are already being made about the anti-consumer practices from Black Ops 4. Now I have some friends who told me they won't be pre-ordering and won't get tricked again by Activision with their deceiving marketing tactics, and I totally understand that. Black Ops 4 was nothing like what the trailers made it out to be. But I do have hope that the next game will knock it out of the park. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Now, as for the actual gameplay and story, it's hard to tell which direction they're gonna take. The Ether story has finally been concluded, and I'd be surprised to see them go back to it right after ending it. I doubt they're gonna continue the Chaos story either, especially after Jason left the studio, and that was pretty much, you know, the one who made that storyline. I guess we'll have to wait and see what the game is actually going to be called, even, before we can make an educated guess on the direction Zombies will take. It might not even be a Black Ops game. I doubt they'll do Ether or Chaos. If it's only called Call of Duty Vietnam or Call of Duty Cold War or whatever, like the leaks are suggesting, will the zombie modes even have a story at all? See, I wouldn't really mind if each map had its own individual story, kind of like, you know, maps like Call of the Dead, Mob of the Dead, Shadows of Evil. I think it would be a much better idea than trying to continue one of the past stories they've been telling for 10 years. Don't get me wrong, I would love to see at least one Ether map in the mix, and I still want to see the Victus crew maps remade. But I believe that not having a super complicated storyline would make the zombie mode a lot better. No more restrictions because of storytelling, more budgeting gameplay features and map design instead of voice acting or cutscenes. Who really wants to have another Alpha Omega with 15,000 lines of dialogue? Like, for real, who gives a shit? We're here to kill zombies, not listening to Shaw talk about his milky eye. But anyways, this is gonna be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you did, leaving a like is always appreciated. It helps get the video out there, you know? I will be having an extended discussion with some friends to see what they have to say about the next zombie installment, so if you're interested, the link will be in the description below when the video comes out. I hope you're all doing well despite everything that's happening in the world right now, and thank you for watching. I will see you next time.